in our earlier conversations, he was talking about Liz being with him in missions in Turkey, and that actually opened so many doors. In Ephesians 5, the husband is to love his wife and the wife to respect her husband. And even though the man is the head and makes the main decisions, right? So can you explain more on this beautiful role of the wife?
Important thing to know that I can't fill all the roles. Like, we say like, well, the women take care of the children, it's like, duh. Like, of course, like, or the women do this, or, cook or clean, like the stereotypical cliches. It was there on the mission field that I realized quickly, because I went to a Muslim country, that this woman and her roles, not only like in the home or with me, but like on the mission field, were so valuable. And one of them was reaching women. The story of how you guys, on your wedding day, he forgot the ring.
He did.
And you put the pause on the marriage. Hey, I got dressed up. I did all the things. My role's complete. Your one role is to bring this ring.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of GPT, Grace People's Talk. And we are continuing on the conversation of marriage and missions. And it's been such a privilege to be with Pastor Roger. Yeah. And we've had such wonderful conversations about marriage, missions, about so many practical things, and, the love of God. So, and in our earlier conversations, he was talking about Liz being with him in missions in Turkey, and that actually opened so many doors. So, after having these conversations, like, I'm just going to throw in the question, Pastor Roger. So in Ephesians 5, the husband is to love his wife and the wife to respect her husband. So, you were beautifully explaining and expressing the importance of the role of the wife.
Yeah.
Right. And even though the man is the head and makes the main decisions, right? So can you explain more on this beautiful role of the wife?
I mean, it is like, it's such a important thing to know that I can't fill all the roles. Right. Like I feel that dawned on me. Like, I can't do all this. Like, we say like, well, the women take care of the children, it's like, duh. Like, of course, like, or the women do this, or, cook or clean, like the stereotypical cliches. Not cliches, they're beautiful. I don't want to belittle them, but in my way, I was very familiar with who Liz was. And I think that got corrected as we grew in our marriage. And we're going to talk about this, I think, in a little bit. You guys are going to ask this other question about going on the mission field.
Yes.
But it was there on the mission field that I realized quickly, because I went to a Muslim country, that this woman and her roles, not only like in the home or with me, but like on the mission field, were so valuable. And one of them was reaching women, Muslim women I couldn't talk to. There was no way to talk to them. Now that was like a beautiful thing. But honestly, if you go back to Genesis 1:27, it says, so God created man in his own image, and in the image of God, he created male and female. He created them, male and female. We like think about like, oh, God made me, Adam, but Eve, who is Eve? And the word for like this woman that was created, the Hebrew word is ezer, and it means like helpmate. And God recognized that. And I often discuss this with Liz because Liz thinks it's, and we all do find it so profound that God would acknowledge that man is wonderfully made, but can be like propelled in a greater way through diversity. So like I think that really was something that came to my mind early on when in our marriage, when I realized like the idea is that she's fit for me. She fits me like a hand in a glove.
Right.
And it takes time. It's not like I suddenly got this on day one when I put the ring on, and like it, or even maybe it was probably explained to me, but I didn't quite like see it in action. So in a way, like this Azer, like this person who's made for me and made as me, like Adam and Eve, like it's the same sentence. It's not like a full stop and then, oh, there's a problem, we got to get Eve in the picture. That's not it at all. Like this image bearer that is me is her as well. And so that recognizing led me to think, and it does for all of us in our marriage, the different roles. If she's in that sentence and we have chosen to love her till we die, like the promises we make at the wedding ceremony, we realize it's got a design, like intention, and like it has this purpose. So, you know, that intention like comes with gifts, and they're not the ones that I thought up, and I think sometimes I was a little begrudging to see her in her strengths, like I was a little intimidated, and that can happen. You're like, wow, you're really good at this. And then it's like a light bulb moment in our marriage. We can recognize that and give God the glory because man and Adam and Eve were there, made in the image of God.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys were telling me the story of how you guys on your wedding day, he forgot the ring.
He did. He did.
And you put the pause on the marriage.
Yeah.
Like, what a way to like learn, like, hey, I got dressed up. I did all the things. My role's complete. Your one role is to bring this ring. So there was like a 15-minute timeout, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man,
15
so good.
timeout.
This is beautiful. But there's grace and mercy for this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even when we like miss the mark in the roles,
Right.
I take over, or I'm too strong, or she doesn't quite respond the way. There was an amazing joy in that discovery of when it happens.
Wow.
Wow.
I've this one thing that comes to my mind is we have great examples in the Bible, especially also in the Book of Acts. Aquila and Priscilla,
Uh-huh.
the great couple who were very helpful with Paul in his missions, like a wonderful team members.
Yeah.
And wherever their names are mentioned, it's never mentioned just Aquila or Priscilla.
Yeah.
It's always mentioned together,
Hmm.
which is very profound.
Mm.
It tells us that they were sold out for missions, and it comes with a like-mindedness,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
To be of the same mind. Uh, how did that help with because you could have a desire on missions to relocate to a new state
Yeah.
within the US or going out, or we
Yeah.
could be having that. How that like-mindedness, did you have that before or after marriage, or did you how did that happen?
That's good that you said that before, because I asked you guys, and he was like, I wanted to go to Chennai first, right?
Mm.
Did you find that like attractive? Like he was like, that man's got a vision.
I did actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did.
Like, it's amazing. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe he likes me, maybe we're in a relationship, but like I'm putting God first,
Yeah.
you know, and thinking about that like-mindedness, you know, it's one thing to be like, I have a like-mindedness with her or with him, but like for to start with the right order of like-mindedness with Christ. And I think it is great that like we find this passion for missions in a personal way. You know, it's not I and I'm careful. I know I'm in a country that I'm super new and like I don't understand everything, but beyond the country and the culture is like a personal revelation of Jesus Christ and like his mission. So I heard from you guys that you discovered it. Liz and I were the same way. You know, I was in Bible school. I was hearing from different pastors, like intro to missions class. I would hear the stories. We would talk about it after class, and it was burning in my heart even more passionately than my love for her, or maybe sometimes not as much. You know, like there was degrees of it, you know, like I think there's that element of like, you know, who we are and like managing that. But in the end, like what happened was I knew that if I put God first and I knew that missions would be healthy for my marriage. Like I didn't know how because I wasn't a missionary. I didn't go on the mission field yet. I think you said that you went to Chennai.
Yes, I did.
He went to Chennai before you guys, right? And then you started dating there and you showed up on his birthday. Yeah.
Surprise.
I know. Like that to me, like really spoke volumes that you put God first and you tested the waters and you said, let's do missions. And then, so I think that this in a practical way for those who are listening, like you can do this by, you know, like I got to know Liz doing evangelism in the park, by going on a short trip. And actually, that developed not only the intimacy and companionship that I long for with Christ, but also it did happen with her. And then because that was like healthy soil, that when it was time to go, like when I like considered it, when we were praying about it, even when we were engaged, um, that like really gave us clarity to make a decision because we went to a Muslim country and it was not so popular. You know, it wasn't, and we did get resistance from even people within our church and within our own culture, like reconsider this, you know, it could be dangerous. But each couple is led by the Lord. But I think the early development of missions in our own personal lives helped us continue to go forward. And I think today that life of missions has really affected our marriage.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I know, honey, I think it's your turn to ask the question, but I just want to like
Yeah.
follow up with what you just said. You know, as we were dating and the wedding date, was fast approaching, and we had talks with our friends, couples, and with good intentions, they had to help us with many things. To say this, okay, this is this, and it'll be helpful this way, helpful that way. But sometimes um, it's a hard one. But you're marrying a missionary. Your life is going to come under an attack. It was I felt it was this advice was a little early. Like what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, we got married and we left 3 months later. But you know, starting with this, like, so we had to get counsel from the church, from our pastors. We asked the elders of our church to pray for us, and actually, originally they said no. So that's just some good juicy information, some greater grace, not gossip, but just good news. We said no, and actually, we were cool with it. It was right before we got married, but then it was during the convention. Pastor Shabelli No, it was after convention. I was like at outreach one Saturday morning. He's like, I was thinking about it. I know we said no and we prayed. No, no, you should do what God is telling you to do. And I was like so happy. I remember calling Liz up afterwards and be like, I think Pastor Belly, he's for it. He's like behind it. So I think putting the elders in the church and the people and letting them know and communicating that I wanted to do this was really great. And then I think also like it really prepared our hearts. Once they said yes and we went, it really prepared our hearts for like the heart work and the mental work it would take to then receive children into our lives. Like, because we were living a missionary life as a couple, opening our house up, serving, being submitted, learning, growing, it really prepared the ground for having our children.
Wow.
So I'm really thankful. And I didn't read lots of books. I tried to. I got counsel. I watched others, pastors have their children. But at the end of the day, I think missions really, really helped tend to things that Liz and I didn't know we would end up being like. They were tending towards like good soil, and those were our children.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I think that is a really good segue to our next question.
yeah, what do we got here?
So since we are newlyweds, I think it's the personal question.
Oh yeah.
So what would be the right mindset to enter missions, and what can be of the
What can we?
attitude that we can develop?
So, distractions, right? Is that what you said? Distractions. Did you say distractions? Problems with marriage that come out from the falling. Are we talking about number 6? Oh, number 5. A great way to build your marriage. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot. The great way. Yeah. So the segue is that building marriage is like, your marriage is a mission field. I think I heard, was it one of you?
Yeah.
Or was it Pastor Guru that was like, like missions really starts with you and you're a mission,
Yeah.
and then like we
That's
get
true.
married and like now my wife is the mission. So, and then when I have kids, like they also become part of that. So that element of like starting with missions even before we get married, and then like as we develop it, like, because when we get married, like at least in America, many of the couples, they still seek a career, and there's like kind of like this, we got married intersection, and then the career's kind of like, like we're going to go our separate ways again and we'll just run on parallel tracks. But missions like weaves in everything together that in a way, like, that like can develop the future, like tough times, good times, and the tests and trials that come. Because when they come, we're like knitly woven together through missions, through loving the lost, through the like service and like, cultivating of what God's doing. Like for us, it was a foreign mission field. So it was very pinpoint, like it was very exact. If you're in a local church, I would suggest like getting involved with that local church. Like in Chennai, you guys are going to do that.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to, maybe put the questions aside and just get active in it, and you'll get woven together. So I think that's kind of like a great way to start it, and a great mindset to go into it. And I think also too that like that prayer should be more along the lines of like, just use me, just use me. And I think as young couples, like any couple, a pastor is going to love having you. A pastor is going to be so blessed when you hanging out with the wife and when you're hanging out with the pastor and you're going soul winning and you're making food at their house and like being that the prayer is like, just, I want to be available. Lord, show me the way that I can befriend this pastor so that he can pour into you guys.
Wow. It's been great. I think this important takeaway here, I just felt, marriage, missions is healthy for my marriage.
Yes.
That's a wonderful takeaway from this episode. We have come to the conclusion of this episode number 2. And we will continue discussing a few more questions and experiences we would like to hear from Pastor Rogers. And stay tuned. We'll see you soon in the next episode.